Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. Boy, I had probably 5 people send me messages. David Wilcocks streaming again. Are you going to cover this? And I thought, no. And then I tuned in and thought, maybe. And then I listened. And I got to tell you, I just lost a few IQ points or brain cells from listening to the absolute garbage coming out of this man's mouth for 3+ hours. What did it? The end clocked in at like 3 hours and 45 minutes, I believe. Yes. So that's and there was many things that I found interesting about this stream, but it's basically typical Wilcock garbage, except instead of talking about a certain former president and a certain letter of the alphabet, he's pivoting back to UFOs, his former bread and butter, ancient aliens and all that. All right, so listen, previously we have covered David Wilcock, and when we do, we play the video, then we stop it and talk about how ridiculous what he just said was, or how improbable, or we fact check it and show that he's just lying through his fake teeth, right? We can show with facts and evidence that he shares less than trustworthy sources, right? And somehow, because he shared a source, that's supposed to be true or real, but it's not, because he uses garbage sources. Sometimes he uses good sources, right? Tonight he used popular mechanics from the 1990s, which is something that I am intimately familiar with because my father was sort of an aircraft buff. He was a one-time helicopter pilot, loved airplanes, he loved black projects, the stealth bomber and SR-71 Blackbird. So we got popular science and popular mechanics just for the aviation articles. And I remember in the 90s, so he cited popular mechanics from the 1990s talking about stealth blimps tonight. Now, but before we begin, I said I wasn't going to share any of his video, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to, because, this ongoing joke with David Wilcock that he's got a 180 IQ, right? And he spent tens of thousands of dollars outfitting his home studio, right? And the quality of what he broadcasts is garbage. Like, he doesn't know how to work microphones, right? And I'm sorry, but I have a 12-year-old nephew that does live game streaming. And he can work a microphone, and he got a $20 microphone, and it sounds better than this. I just want to show you what the first half hour of David Wilcock's stream sounded like, because this is ridiculous. And are people really giving him tens of thousands of dollars, which he can use in his home studio, to give us this level of quality? And how does a guy with the 180 IQ not know how to work a microphone, right? He can't work a microphone and headphones. I don't understand it. But it is what it is, friends. And we're going to share this, and we're going to cite fair use as we do. This is a transformative work. We'll be discussing and critiquing the material we are sharing. And this is for educational and informative purposes for our audience and discussion purposes. This is allowable under fair use. So this is David Wilcock, Pyramid UFOs officially confirmed. And you notice the misleading clickbait? That is garbage. No, Pyramid UFOs were not officially confirmed. The Navy said somebody took a Navy personnel person took that video. But they didn't comment on whether it was a UAP, a UFO, an alien spacecraft, a black project. They just said a Navy person took that video that was leaked. But here we have David Wilcock running with this clickbait title. Pyramid UFOs officially confirmed. What are they and why? Right? Garbage. All right, we're going to... Oh, you know what? Let me do this one more time. And I have to change my background. I always forget some of these things. So here, we're going to share, just so you can hear some of the quality that all those tens of thousands of dollars buys you in a home studio. Because it's funny to me. It's just funny to me.
is there is a formal acknowledgement, and I have almost 400 slides in this show. I'm going to try to keep it under 2 hours. And formal acknowledgement that sometime in June, that apparently it's going to include the idea that UFOs do exist, that they have crashed here, that they did retrieve wreckage. They've actually talked about a memory metal that they even gave the name Nitinol to. Saying,
listen, here's another part. David Wilcocks, if you're going to talk about scientific things, then know what you're talking about. Nitinol is not a metal from a crashed flying saucer. It's not. It's an Earth-made material. It's called memory metal for a reason. I know about Nitinol because I once worked at the Drexel Robotics Lab in Philadelphia for a time. And they were using Nitinol in a lot of the robotic prototypes that they were developing. It's sort of like, in robotics, it's sort of like akin to human muscle. You can apply it, you can stretch this metal out, and it will expand. And then when you apply electric charge, it will pull back and go back to its original form. That's Nitinol. It's completely an Earth-like material. It doesn't have anything to do with UFOs or flying saucers, but you're going to say it does. And listen to the quality. All this money he's collecting. Listen to this.
Saying that you can crumple it up and it can unfold. This has already been disclosed. So when we look at what's already been...
He sounds like a football referee. This is ridiculous, and we're not going to listen to any more of this. But I do have notes about what he talked about during the entire stream. Besides being completely and totally wrong about things like science, right? Yeah, and listen, there's some great live chat comments, but I got to stay focused and on track. And I'm going to get back to all your comments, I promise, because we're going to try to just run through these notes that I made as quickly as possible. And like I said, we used to play the video, stop it, talk about what he just said. If I do that, this is 3 hours and 40 minutes. And I listened to all but the first 20 minutes, but then I got to preview it while he was doing his meditation. It doesn't matter to our discussion. I went and listened to the first 20 minutes. That's garbage too. Actually, the first half hour, he talks about Christianity, the Bible, the ascension, and how the Christian version of the rapture concept is essentially ascension, and that aliens are extra-dimensional angels. And we're going to find out about all of this. It's garbage. Okay, and then we get to 30 minutes in, where he starts, listen, this stream, I have to say, I'm kind of disappointed. I consider myself sort of a connoisseur of the BS. You know, like the BS that this guy shovels is usually so good, because usually he just makes up a bunch of stuff. And I got to say that after being away, he had 2 months to prepare for this. And you know how he prepared? He made 800 slides of other people's work. Congratulations, David Wilcocks. You spent 2 months making 800 PowerPoint slides and taking some stuff from what Stephen Greer is saying, taking George Knapp and taking Jeremy Corbell's material, and you're going to now interject your thoughts and opinions, which I guess is okay. But I was disappointed because most of this stream is him repeating the same garbage that the UFO believer circuit is out there. This was hopium for the hopeless. Feed these true believers stuff about aliens and UFOs, because that's what's popular right now. And and another thing, listen, this guy streamed for 3 hours and 40 something minutes. He couldn't take 5 minutes to explain why he predicted that Donald Trump was going to win the election in a landslide, and that didn't happen. Why he said there was 50,000 Chinese troops amassed on the Canadian border, and they invaded, and we hit them with a bunker busting bomb, but nobody saw it, and we killed. Come on, all of this stuff that he talked about. Well, I'm getting blurry like Bigfoot. So all the stuff that he talked about for the last 4 years, none of it happened. He was completely and totally wrong about everything he talked about for the past 4 years. Then he goes away for 2 months, right? And I've just talked about it before. This is the David Wilcocks swindle shuffle, swindle everybody you can with fake stories, and then when the proof comes out that all the stories you've been peddling for however long are totally fake, you got to shuffle away for a little while and hope all the stupid people sending you money forget all of your BS, forget all of your fake psychic predictions, none of which came true, and come back. So he's had 2 months, right? And he's streamed for 3 hours and 45 minutes. Listen, I want to ask you really ask yourself this. If you were somebody claiming to have psychic powers and you made a bunch of predictions and all of them failed just a few months ago, right? Would you address it? Would you apologize to all the people who were sending you money while you were making those fake predictions? Of course he doesn't. He spends 3 hours and 45 minutes just right back to the BS. I'm not even going to address. He's like, I'm not even going to address all my fake failed psychic predictions, all of the stuff that I said that was going to happen and none of it happened. Why is that camera not focusing? Talk about technical problems. But hey, I don't have his budget, so I'm still allowed to make fun of him and his ridiculous stream. Listen to that audio. I love it. All right. So 30 minutes in, he starts talking about Carol Rosin, who worked with Wernher von Braun and talked about Wernher von Braun saying that when the jig is up, first they're going to use the Soviet Union. And then when they can't use the Soviet Union, they're going to use terrorism. And then when terrorism no longer works, they're going to use a fake alien invasion. That's the trump card, right? The final card in the disclosure game. And there's going to be a fake alien invasion. Gee, who else has been talking about this lately? He's just lifting Dr. Stephen Greer's current con scam. Dr. Greer's collected over $250,000 to make an emergency documentary about a fake alien invasion that's imminent. And David Wilcocks, if David Wilcocks ever had an original thought, I truly think that it would die of loneliness. All he's doing that. And he's going to anger these other UFO con artists and grifters because that's their, con that they're talking about. And he should leave their cons alone and come up with his own con. That's how UFO cons are supposed to work. So 30 minutes in, he's talking about this fake alien invasion, right? And Stephen Greer warning of a fake alien invasion. And maybe the government's letting go of some of this information just to fool people and see how easily they're fooled so that they can go ahead with their fake alien invasion. Boy, this is a great story. Too bad it's not David Wilcocks' story. This is Stephen Greer's story. He's been telling this story for 20 years. Are you so desperate for material, David Wilcocks, that you got to go into another grifter's con game and pull out his con story, his con? And listen, great. Maybe that Wernher von Braun actually said that, but the only person that ever, there's no verification that he said that except from one woman who worked for him who's been a Stephen Greer fan for 20 years, right? And Stephen Greer and her are very close friends. So I don't trust that Wernher von Braun ever even said this. And by the way, listen, I grew up building my rockets. I love, before I knew the whole story of Wernher von Braun and Project Paperclip and all those Nazi scientists that we wiped their record clean of anything, and declared them no longer Nazis to work on our space program. I was a fan of this man, right? The original founder of NASA. He was a Nazi and responsible for the deaths of thousands of people with the V2 rocket program. Not a very reputable source, even if he did say that. Former Nazi, killed thousands of people with those V2 rockets he was developing. Yeah, great. Maybe later in life, I don't know if he ever commented on all those people that he killed with his rockets, right? But he did help NASA, right? Very respected rocket scientist later in life, after they wiped the fact that he was the Nazi rocketeer responsible for thousands and thousands of people dying, especially in England, where those rockets, they kept pointing those V2 rockets, killing people, terrorizing whole cities. But hey, we should trust him as a source. And he said there's going to be a fake alien invasion. I call BS on that. I'm sorry. Nobody ever heard the man say that except for one person who conveniently is like buddy with one of the world's biggest UFO hoaxer, profiteering, I don't want to say any more. All right. At 40 minutes in, I found this we're just going to skip. So for, 10 minutes, he talks about the fake alien invasion. 40 minutes in, he starts talking about he's going to have to take down his old website because of link backs and how he could get his website deleted. No, I'm sorry. You can't get your website deleted. It's your website. There's no conspiracy. He always does this. There's a conspiracy to deplatform him, and he might lose his YouTube channel any minute for sharing this important information. It's garbage. That's garbage. He's taking down his old website or just leaving it up as an archive, and he's going to have a new website. And then, just like his technical problems running a live stream, I guess he can't work Wix.com to make a website because he gives a website address, which I think is Wilcocks.com. And then people in the live chat were saying the website doesn't work. Yeah, it's like connection error. I'm sorry, database error, which means somebody didn't flip the switch to make the website live before his stream. The reason, though, that him talking about taking down his old website is important to me is because this, once again, is the David Wilcocks swindle and shuffle. You got to swindle everybody, get this really, write hundreds and hundreds of pages of what's going to happen and all these things are going on your website. And then when it all turns out to be fake information and it's clear that you've been talking about fake stuff and all your predictions were wrong, you got to delete that website and start a whole new one. It's kind of the David Wilcocks reboot. He did this in 2000. He did it again in 2012. Get rid of that old website with all that fake stuff because I look ridiculous. You do look ridiculous. But taking down your old website's not going to do anything for you, David Wilcocks, because I archived it, all of it. And I will share it with anybody that wants it if he does indeed take his website down. Now, this is my theory and speculation that's why he's taking his website down, because he wants to hide all that letter of the alphabet garbage that he talked about for 4 years and the former president stuff that he talked about for 4 years and the alliance. But it was interesting that later in this broadcast, he starts talking about the alliance and how he's getting briefings again. But isn't it interesting that all the briefings he got for the past 4 years that he claimed to be getting, I'm getting briefings. He loves saying he's getting briefings. Dude, you're not James Bond, okay? You're not an intelligence officer. You're not in the military. You're not getting briefings. That doesn't happen. You're not getting any briefings. And even if he is, his briefings have been shown to be completely and totally wrong for the past 4 years. Okay, let's see. 45 minutes in, he starts talking about the bad guy aliens and how they want to experiment on us, and the good guy aliens who want to help us evolve and ascend. What are we, 10 years old and on the playground? Okay, there's these good guy aliens, and then there's the bad guy aliens. It's ridiculous, it's childish, and it's stupid. And that's all I have to say about that. I was wrong with the timestamps. That was like 42 minutes in. Also 42 minutes in. This is great. And 42 minutes in, David Wilcocks talks about anti-gravity. And then he says, I'll have a lot more to share about that soon because I got a 3D printer and I'm printing prototypes. Really? Really, David Wilcocks? You're going to print an anti-gravity device on your new 3D printer that you just bought? Really? Are you going to 3D print a hover car? Yeah, David Wilcocks claims that he's working on a hover car, right? With all he knows about extraterrestrial technology. Sure you are. Sure you are working on a hover car. Sure you're going to create an anti-gravity device with a 3D printer and you're printing prototypes right now. Can we see them? Can we see them work? Can we have them independently lab tested? I'd suggest alien scientists to test David Wilcocks 3D printed anti-gravity technology. It's ridiculous and childish once again, and only a stupid person would believe any of that. I'm sorry, if you believe that he actually is going to print an anti-gravity device on a 3D printer, then you're stupid. You're just stupid if you believe him. I'm sorry. All right, 45 minutes. He starts talking about the 10 days of darkness again. You know, that riff where he says that the internet and major television and cable TV and the power grid, everything's going to go down for 10 days of darkness. Except he already predicted this 2 other times, I believe, at least once. I'm sure he predicted this is going to happen once, and it was coming in the next few weeks, and then it didn't happen. David Wilcocks, if your prediction failed the first time, it's probably a bad idea to make that prediction again. But, you know, move the timeline for when that psychic fake prediction is going to come true. Now it's going to happen anytime now. You said that before, David, and it didn't happen. Nothing happened. But here we go. It's the David Wilcocks, you know, fake psychic shuffle. Like, oh, I made a fake prediction, and I even gave a date because I'm stupid and I haven't been listening. That you don't, you got to be a lot more vague. You got to say in the coming months, in the coming years. You don't give a date, and this dummy did with his first 10 days of darkness, or was it 3 days of darkness? Major disruptions are coming anytime now. Then he starts talking about prepper supplies because, you know, if you need survival advice about how to survive, you know, an apocalyptic event at a grid down, power down, internet down, everything down situation, there's nobody better to listen to than a spoiled rich kid, son of millionaires, right? That never really had a job. I don't think this guy's ever been camping, to be honest with you, but he's going to give us all prepper advice. He's going to tell us how to survive. And what was his great advice? Buy rice and beans. Make sure you have water. Great. That's really helpful. Thank you. When this 10 days of darkness comes, I'll make sure I have plenty of rice and beans, David Wilcocks. Thank you for saving me from this apocalyptic event. All right. You know, for the next 20 minutes, he talks in riddles and nonsense. I just wrote riddles and nonsense. None of this means anything. Okay. And we get to about an hour, and he starts talking about the recent articles, you know, about that Israeli space minister who said that there's a galactic federation and aliens are real, and that Donald Trump was going to spill the beans and the aliens had to warn him not to do it. Except that whole article turned out to be complete and total garbage, because though the Israeli space minister said these things while he was being interviewed, it was later clarified that what he meant was his granddaughter heard these things from who? From who? From Laura Eisenhower. Wealth of fake garbage, UFO and alien information, and always has been. She has never proved anything she's ever talked about as being real, not in 20 years, and she never will. She's not a credible source of information. So some Israeli space minister says, well, my granddaughter has heard that there's a galactic federation and there's all these aliens. He didn't say he believed that, but David Wilcocks doesn't make the distinction between where that information actually came from. Why? Because it supports his garbage argument. Look, disclosure's happening right now all around us. This Israeli space minister said this to be true. At 107, I think this is great, and he had a Freudian slip, and he starts talking about this new class that he's going to be selling, you know, for $333. You want to learn about what's really going on? Just give me $333. 107. He says, I'm working on a new class, but the information is too important, so you have to pay. As if to say the information he shares for free is not important. It's a Freudian slip. He's basically admitting that everything he shares on his YouTube channel for free is not worth anything. But to get the good information, you got to pay $333. Or if you've already taken a course, we'll give you a big discount of $111, and you'll only pay, what's with all the numbers? $222. Disclosure costs either $333 if you're a new customer, or $222 if you're a returning customer, even though I already sold you the truth about disclosure 2 other times, 1 or 2 other times. I don't know how many times you were stupid enough to buy it, right? Boy. Okay. Also around, let's see, 108, 109. And you guys, you're going to have to forgive me with these timestamps. They're vaguely correct. Okay. So, yeah, I'm giving you a general guide in case you want to go and listen to the garbage yourself. At 109 or thereabouts, David Wilcocks incorrectly claims that electromagnetic flux can lift a plane. I'm here to tell you that is completely and totally factually inaccurate. Okay. And, listen, we can spend the time, going over why that's a completely and totally false statement. Okay. Listen, David Wilcocks likes to fancy himself to be so smart and have a 180 IQ. Him saying that electromagnetic flux can lift an airplane is completely and totally factually inaccurate. There is no scientific evidence that electromagnetic flux can lift an airplane, okay? There's no prototypes. There's no scholarly white papers, scientific papers written on it. Now, I could be wrong on this. I'm no alien scientist like Jeremy Rise, aware of so many, there's so much going on in science, but I am pretty confident that he is completely and totally wrong, and electromagnetic flux has never, well, I don't know about can never, but so far has never been proven that it can lift a plane. Then he goes on to say that Victor Schauberger's vortex repulsing engine works, and we're going to find out about that it's true that it works. And then he goes on to a lengthy explanation. Except, no, it doesn't. And even Hal Puthoff admitted that the repulsing engine does not work. Hal Puthoff, after all, got one of the original prototypes and tested it. Zero lift. David Wilcocks again makes a completely and totally factually inaccurate statement stating that Victor Schauberger's repulsing engine actually works. No, it doesn't. No one on planet Earth, David Wilcocks, has ever proven that Victor Schauberger's prototypes worked. Nobody's ever shown it, and no one ever will, David Wilcocks, because it's garbage science. It's not real science. It's the fantastical imaginings of a guy who probably smoked too much drugs. Opium at the time was very popular, I think. Or maybe he discovered hallucinogenic drugs and thought he was going to make a brand new kind of engine based on nature. And it sounds great, but it doesn't work. Nobody's ever been able to reproduce it based on his drawings. Nobody's ever able to get any of his prototypes to show any lift. It doesn't work. This is a factually inaccurate statement. But, your streams are filled with factually inaccurate statements. You just don't care. Sounds good. Run with it. Give people what they want, right? Okay. Then he makes another completely and totally scientifically impossible statement. He says that trees are creating anti-gravity, and this has been proven. I must have missed the memo. I got a cabin in the woods. There's trees everywhere, and I have never seen a tree create anti-gravity, right? So I'd like to know, what is he smoking or what drugs is he taking? I'd like some so I can see a tree create anti-gravity. There is zero scientific evidence or proof that trees create anti-gravity. That's a garbage, made-up statement. And he cites some crackpot scientist. I got a chance to look into it briefly, and it's not valid. It's just not valid. He cites somebody as proof, but it's garbage. Absolute garbage. Next, about 110 in, he starts with the mystery school pitch again. For just $333, you can get disclosure. No, you can't. And no, you won't. You won't get anything but garbage, fake information. Listen to what he's sharing for free. It's all fake. So why would you pay him? What is he going to give you better fake stuff when you pay him the money? Like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Next, okay. And then he spends a great deal of time after about 110 forward talking about Anthony Bergalia's UFO crash retrieval story. Again, he's just nixing stuff off the internet. None of this is his work. He's just repeating garbage. And by the way, Anthony Bergalia, nothing against him, but this whole UFO crash retrieval story got blown way out of proportion. It got misquoted all over the place. No. The U.S. government never admitted that they recovered alien flying saucers or alien made spacecraft. That's what it got twisted into. No, there's known projects that recover unknown flying aircraft that crashed. Project Moondust being one of them. Because certainly if some satellite is falling from the sky and landing in Kansas, if you're the United States government and you're not sure whose satellite that is or why it's crashing, you're going to want to go retrieve it. So yes, the government can confirm we have recovered UFO crashes. Nobody said aliens. And these guys you got to jump right to the aliens. So I'm sorry. Again, here he's citing a source that supports his argument that's completely and totally blown out of proportion, misquoted, and wrong. Totally wrong. Okay, so, he's citing this Anthony Bragalia story at 110. All right. Now we get to 117. And David Wilcocks claims that anti-gravity occurs in nature. And one of the examples that he gives is, why does a river start at the top of a mountain and then go down? That's his example of gravity being created by nature, anti-gravity being created by nature. Because why does a river start at the top of a mountain and go down? Hey, David Wilcocks, are you really this, I'm trying not to be personally insulting. Are you this naive? That's the kinder way to say it. That you would let this come out of your mouth without even thinking it through? That nature, there's anti-gravity occurring in nature because a river starts at the top of a mountain and goes down? Really? David Wilcocks, I have a cabin in the mountains, and I can tell you creeks, streams, and I suppose even rivers start at the top of a mountain because of natural springs. The spring comes up, and then it begins a stream or a creek or whatever. And if it's near the top of the mountain, certainly it's going to go down the mountain. That's not called an example of anti-gravity, David Wilcocks. That's called gravity. That's not, I don't understand his argument here. It's childish, it's stupid, and any scientist that heard him say this would laugh in his face. Certainly any physicist, any naturalist, any biologist can tell you that just because a water source starts at the top of the mountain and goes down, that's not an example of anti-gravity. That's an example of David Wilcocks' mental gymnastics to try to prove his points that are completely and totally garbage. Garbage. This man offers garbage to the world, and people eat it up. They get to that, it's like a pig trough, and they just get there and like, give us more slop, David Wilcocks. Give us more UFO alien slop. This is sloppy work. This is total garbage. Okay. And this is another one. At 120, he pitches his new website and how you got to hurry up there because he could get banned from YouTube at any minute. And it is dwilcocks.com. We're going to try to go there right now so I can see what the error message is. But again, for the second time, people in the live chat tell him, that doesn't work, David. Your website doesn't work. David, your website doesn't work. Oh, now it went. Oh, they must have turned the switch on. Look, we've got an exclusive. David Wilcocks' new website. They forgot to turn it on before the stream, and it wasn't working during the stream, but now it's up. Look at this. Wow. And dude, come on, dude. What is this, a 10-year-old promo photo? Take a new picture, bro. Receive critical updates from David Wilcocks. Oh, listen to this. Dear friends, you have been lied to. Your potential and your true history is much more fascinating than the authorities have allowed you to know. He's always so dramatic, right? And it's stupid drama. It's not even good. It's like that friend you have that's so melodramatic, Since the onset of public schooling and the advent of radio and television, you have been fed a false narrative of who you are and who and where we are. They have lied to you about your history, your origins, and your true abilities. Boy, this is a good pitch for people. This is a con pitch. That's what this is. He's trying to rope in people who feel lost, who feel like things are not right? Who feel like they're being lied to by their government, because of course we are, but a lot of people feel this way now, and he's trying to rope you in so he can sell you something. While a certain fraction of humanity tires to control your freedom, we fight to free the earth and the human soul. Yeah, for $333, he's going to free the earth and your human soul. Just the ridiculousness of this statement. We fight to free the earth and the human soul. I don't get it, David Wilcocks. You are more than you are more than they want you to think. And together, we are changing this world for the better. Please sign here and stay in touch with critical updates on the Ascension timeline and invitations to our live stream. We gather up to 23,000 live participants meditating together, claiming a peaceful timeline for ourselves, our families, and for planet Earth. Welcome to our family of seekers and sacred warriors. So really, this is just a landing page for him to collect emails for future victims to sell shit to. But I got to tell you, I'm going to sign up for it because he promised that they're not going to bombard you with emails. But on his other email accounts and MailChimps and whatever he does for marketing, I have a separate email account just to read. You know, there was a time when he was sending out 5 or maybe 8 emails a day asking you for money. That's what he does with these emails. That's what he's going to do with all these emails. He's not saving the earth. He's not freeing the human soul. He's collecting an email marketing list here because that's what these UFO grifter conners do. Love the picture, though, and the pirate shirt. I got to get me a pirate shirt. Okay, I said we're going to try to run through this fast, and I still got, oh my gosh, I got so much to go through. At 1:30, he says, buy my book, buy my book. And in his book, there is he claims this. At an hour and 30 in, he claims that his book has information in it that is 35 levels above the President of the United States, cosmic clearance. He says the information in my books is 35 levels of classification above the president. The information in this book. You got to buy this book because this book has information within it that is 35 levels above the classification of the president. Friends, that right there is consumer fraud. Unless he can prove that what's in his book is actually, truly, and really 35 levels above the classification of the president, he's trying to sell the book there, claiming that his book has information that is 35 levels above the president. What are the chances that if you go through his book, there's nothing in there that is even classified? Right? They wouldn't let him walk around. They wouldn't let the book stay on the shelves if this was the case. But this is the ridiculousness of how he tries to market to stupid people. If you're stupid enough to believe that David Wilcocks got information in his book that's 35 levels above the president of the United States, you deserve to get conned for the $20 or whatever his book full of garbage costs. And we've been through his books. They're filled with garbage. Fake sources, less than reputable, journalism outfits that he cites as if their word is true when it's not. His books are full of garbage, and they're 50 to 60% copy and paste jobs. Other people's work, just like this stream. 132. He says what he says all the time. I've interviewed all these government insiders, and they all tell similar stories, so they must be true. This is ridiculous logic. A bunch of people telling similar stories doesn't prove that they're all telling true stories, David Wilcocks, but you continue to persist in your naive, ridiculous belief that somehow if 2 different nutters, who's, by the way, look at the quality of his sources. Court-martialed child molester, that was one of his sources for a while, right? Who else? Pete Peterson, some senile old man who claimed to work for Ronald Reagan, but he never did, and we proved it. His sources are fake. So I don't care if you interview 2 fake sources and they tell you similar stories about aliens. David Wilcocks doesn't prove that any of them are telling you the truth. After all, their backgrounds are dubious, like being child molesters, or like Pete Peterson made up his whole biography. We went through it. It's all fake. That guy was a complete total fraud, but you ran with his stories. Okay. 133, he says, I just got a briefing. Some exciting things I could tell you. And this is what was in the briefing, friends. Draco, reptilian aliens are at war with human-like ETs. and Draco reptilian aliens are horrific. They have sharp teeth and slit eyes, and they look scary. Then he says the Germans made deals with them, and so did we, right? And that the Nazis were the first people to have proven anti-gravity technology were the Nazis during World War II. That's a fact, he says. That's proven. Garbage. There's no proof that they had anything exotic. There's stories, some of which first appeared in tabloids in the 1960s. That's his source, a tabloid story from the 1960s saying that the Germans had flying saucers, anti-gravity technology that they back-engineered from aliens. It's a tabloid story, like the National Enquirer, or like, Clinton meets an alien. That's the quality of the sources that he's citing here. Okay. Next, at about 1:35, he says that it's a proven fact that he was talking about the reptilian aliens. The reptilian aliens come and they hover over battlefields so they can soak up all the negative energy, and they do it cloaked. Well, okay, you can't prove or disprove that. That's garbage. But then he says this, and it's a gem. He says that during the Vietnam War, the Draco reptilian aliens took half of all M16s during the Vietnam War. They disappeared because the reptilians took them and sold them in space. I'm going to say that again. David Wilcocks says that half of the M16s during the Vietnam War disappeared because the reptilian aliens took them and sold them in space. Because, there's a big market for Earth and 200-year-old Earth gun technology, in space. There's a huge market for that. So why wouldn't the reptilian? This is garbage. I mean, you could Google, did half of the M16s in Vietnam disappear during the Vietnam War? Of course not. I don't know where he got this, but it's a gem of David Wilcocks straight bullshittery. This is grade A BS. Right? Half of all the M16s during the Vietnam War disappeared. The reptilian aliens took them and sold them in space. Okay. And he says that this is a fact. God, I almost feel sorry for him sometimes. I really do. If he believes this stuff, he is dumber than I thought. Okay. At 1:35, he's talking about people going missing in the national forest. And he said, he spoke to the author of Missing 411, who agreed with him that most likely explanation for all the disappearances is extraterrestrials. And that author agreed. Nope. No, he didn't. Because, we reached out to him and he never said extraterrestrials were responsible for that. You lied and made that up. And we caught you. You just lied and made that up. God, I bet you thought nobody would reach out to that guy and find out if you were telling the truth about that statement. But we did, and you lied, David Wilcocks. He never said that. He never said it. It's great. Okay. All right, let's see. At 1:36, David Wilcocks states the Guardians of the Galaxy movie is disclosure and it's real. Kind of like how he said Star Wars is basically a documentary and that's real. He's telling a story about the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy where the Space Lord gets his Walkman and his tape, and he's saying that is disclosure and that's real. I don't even know what to say to this except okay. If you say so. Okay, at 1:39, he starts talking about his latest intel briefing in which he claims that millions of people a year are being paid to reptilian aliens in rent because we don't own planet Earth, and we're paying the reptilian aliens human subjects, millions of them a year in rent. Okay, that's another garbage statement from David Wilcocks. He can't. I can you even ask him for proof of that, or is it just so ridiculous? He's got no proof of that, and and it's from his briefing, so it must be true, right? Because he gets briefings. Yeah. Okay. And then he talks about 138 that the Cosmic Secret is now free because it's ad supported. and what a great source of information it is, even though we previously covered it and it's filled with fake stories that were proven completely and totally factually inaccurate. But he's going to say it's a great source of information because he was in it. It's garbage. Cosmic Disclosure movie is garbage. Isn't that the one where they talk about the stasis giants, right? And that was a hoax. And the guy who did it admitted it was a hoax. They talked about it like it was real because I guess because they're just misinformed and not very intelligent. Okay, and here's where I have a real problem. At 139, he says that the law of one is Christianity. I'm a Christian. That's an offensive statement. The law of one is a channeled work by a new age guru type person recently, very recently. Wasn't that started in the 70s, right? That is not Christianity, and to say that is offensive to Christians. Just going to put that out there, David. Maybe go ask a priest if you should be reading the law of one. Go ask a Catholic priest. Go ask a Christian minister if you should be reading the law of one and if the law of one is Christianity. Again, this is a completely and totally factually inaccurate statement. These two, one of these things is not like the other. One's a channeled work by some fringe group of, I'm sorry, I don't want to be disrespectful, whatever, by a fringe group called the Law of One Society. And Carla, right? She channeled all that stuff. And the other is one of the three major religions of the world. One of these things is not like the other, David Wilcocks, and you can't put them together, but he's going to try to put them together. Why? Bigger tent, more people to con with his course. He can get the law of one people. He can get the Christians by saying, no. The law of one is basically Christianity. No, it's not. It's got some similar concepts, I'm sure, but whatever. It is what it is. He's going to continue to offend Christians worldwide. He's the guy who said, by the way, that he channels Jesus Christ or Christ consciousness. That's offensive too. He doesn't care about offending people. Okay, and then at 140, again, he's pitching his new class. Remember all the times that I'm telling you he's pitching his new class, because at the end, there was something really funny. He says he doesn't pitch his class through the whole thing, but he pitched his class like every 20 minutes through this thing, which is pretty funny. Okay, and at the 141 mark, he says that reptilian aliens feed off negative energy parked over the battlefield. And in his new class, he is going to show known and scientific proof that energy can be pulled from people's bodies by intention. Again, we're coming back to consumer fraud. He's saying he's going to tell you that he has, in his class, he's going to show you the scientific proof that energy can be pulled from people by intention. That's a garbage statement. That's fraud. There's no way that he's got proof of that. It would be all over the news, folks. It would be the biggest story in the world. Look at the psychic phenomenon, and we have it on tape. And, this is real. You can feed off of people's energy and pull it from them by setting your intention. It's garbage. He doesn't have any scientific proof. You know what he's going to do? He's going to show you 80 slides and talk for 3 hours and hope you get so bored you forget where the proof is supposed to be. 143, a fake alien invasion may be imminent. 144, again, with the conflation of the facts. Military.com article, the Pentagon says video of pyramid-shaped UFOs are authentic. And here's where he's feeding into this misinformation. The Navy said that they were taken by Navy personnel. Won't comment further. People are taking this statement, pyramid-shaped UFOs are authentic, as meaning they're aliens and they're pyramid-shaped spacecraft. That is garbage, and it's irresponsible for you to repeat that garbage narrative to hopium. That's what you're creating here. Let's give these people that want to believe in aliens some hopium. Look, the Pentagon says the pyramid-shaped UFOs are authentic. No, they didn't. They didn't say anything except they were taken by Navy personnel. It's a stretch to say anything else. Then he says at 150 that these pyramid craft shown in Jeremy Corbell's video are huge and a mile wide. Again, factually complete. He's just making things up here. Show me any scientific analysis of that video that can prove that these crafts shown in the video are a mile wide. Nobody can, because they're not. Most likely, it was an airplane taken through a night vision scope with the aperture set at a certain distance. At 152, he craps all over Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, and he says that their UFOs are not extraterrestrial, but man-made craft that they were going to be using to fake the alien invasion. 157, Alliance bases are in danger. UFO sightings have increased around our military bases. I haven't taken the time to prove or disprove that statement. Once in a while, he throws in a little grain of actual truth along with his breadcrumb full lies, winding you down this path of garbage, right? Those garbage piles are getting bigger and bigger, David Wilcocks. You need a few more breadcrumbs of truth in your garbage path. Okay. And then he says, war may come soon. Not 10 days. We could be out of power and the internet, not for 10 days, but for months and months. And again, gives prepper advice. Do it now, right now. Hurry up and stock up. The fear porn. This is what he does, right? How many times has he told us to stock up? If you actually listen to him, you'd have a house full of prepper supplies and nothing to do with them because nothing this man says ever happens. 158, military flew a TR-3B in broad daylight in New Jersey a few months ago. Again, at about an hour and 58 minutes in, he shows a picture of this thing, but it's a bad one. The military flew a TR-3B in broad daylight in New Jersey a few months ago. It was seen by multiple witnesses. No, this is a completely and totally debunked story of people seeing the Goodyear blimp with a light on the side of it. It has been completely and totally debunked as nothing out of the ordinary. People were seeing off in the distance a Goodyear blimp with a sign on the side with lights flashing on the side of the blimp. They mistook it for something out of this world. That story has been completely and totally debunked. And he knows this, but he runs with it anyway. And he shows you a real blurry photo of it because you're not going to check, but I did. And it's fake. Actually, I didn't need to check. I knew what he was talking about. Did a quick check to be sure that what I'm saying is correct. And no, it wasn't a TR-3B in broad daylight. Okay. It was a Goodyear blimp, but he's putting that in there like it's really a TR-3. Come on, David Wilcocks. You got to work harder at this generation of garbage information that you're trying to push on people. People aren't that stupid. They know that was the Goodyear blimp, dude. All right. At 150, and he starts talking about Edgar Fouché said that the TR-3B was a blimp and has helium. No, that's a factually inaccurate statement. He never said that the TR-3B was any kind of a blimp. It was a craft that apparently had a mass cancellation device to reduce its mass by up to 90%. And then it used thrusters and other things. He never said it was a blimp. He never said it had helium in it. This is complete and total factually inaccurate statement. I'm very familiar with Edgar Fouché and the TR-3B. He gets it wrong, but we'll see why later. He has to say this TR-3B was a blimp because later in the broadcast, his whole theory of what Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp are seeing is blimps. Oh, friends. He said that the TR-3B, he said Edgar Fouché said it had partial lift from helium and partial lift from an anti-gravity generator and partial lift from rocket engines. No, Edgar Fouché didn't say any of that. You can see Edgar Fouché's original discussion or talk on this. He didn't say any of that. David Wilcocks just picked a source. By the way, rest in peace, Edgar Fouché, a source that has sadly passed away that can't say, excuse me, I didn't say that. And we see this time and time again with David Wilcocks. He's always citing Pete Peterson, who was a fraud when he was alive, but now he's dead. So Pete Peterson can never say, excuse me, I never said that. And nobody can ever check with Pete Peterson, just like nobody can check with Edgar Fouché to see, did you say this? But we can check. It's on the record. He never said any of this stuff about the TR-3B. He's just making it up to fit in his presentation and narrative where he's going to tell everybody that everything George Knapp and Corbell are sharing are secret blimp projects. Okay, let's see. 155. He says that during World War I, the militaries around the world used dirigibles that were bigger than a city. Again, this is completely and totally factually inaccurate statement. David Wilcocks, show me a dirigible that was bigger than a city, even a small city, let's say like Green Bay, Wisconsin, for example. There's no historical or scientific record of any dirigible, Zeppelin, or blimp being bigger than a city. He just makes this stuff up, but he wraps it in some other stuff you've heard about to make it almost believable. No, friends, there was never in World War I a dirigible, a blimp, or a Zeppelin bigger than a city. He made that up. Then he goes on to say that his insider said that the TR-3B is actually kind of lame because it's just like a blimp. No, nobody that ever talked about the TR-3B said that it was lame or a blimp. Again, he's making this up to fit his narrative. All right, let's see. Just about the 2-hour mark, he starts talking about how Jeremy Corbell's pyramid UFOs were actually made. And this is where it gets ridiculous. Because he says, first of all, he says the TR-3Bs were just blimps and boring, right? But he shows these cutouts that you can cut out of cardboard and make your own cube or pyramid or tetrahedron, right? He says, this is David Wilcocks, if you glue 4 TR-3Bs together, you can make a pyramid UFO. And he goes on to say that is what people may be seeing in Jeremy Corbell's video. The U.S. government, they got 4 of those TR-3B, special blimps, and they glued them together. The ridiculousness of this is not lost on anyone, I hope. So that's his explanation for Jeremy Corbell's video, that the U.S. government got 4 TR-3Bs and glued them together to make a pyramid UFO. And by the way, he goes on to talk great about them right before he says everything they're sharing is fake and it's not UFOs. Because you got to understand the rule of the UFO grifter is I'm the guy with the great information about the UFOs. I'm the guy with the truth about aliens, and all the rest of those guys are wrong. That's what he's doing here. He's telling his whole audience and everybody else listening that George Knapp and Corbell are completely and totally wrong. And he's right. And he knows the truth of what was really in those videos and those pictures. I call bull. Look, as whatever I have to say about Corbell and Knapp, he has no proof of any of this trying to shoot their theories down. He's just making this up. But here we go. All right. Oh, geez. 211, he talks about the UFO pyramid over the Pentagon. And, honestly, I've looked into that and haven't seen it debunked completely, so we're giving that. Whatever. Okay, you talked about that UFO. All right, and this is very important. He keeps quoting throughout this presentation Santa surfing from Parler or Gab. And CW Channer recently had an amazing live stream. I was listening while I was working on the cabin, where CW Channer found a YouTube channel that I believe was called Santa Surfing. And for 4 years, it was an Indian cooking channel until last week. And then suddenly it had Simon Parkes videos and Kerry Cassidy and Robert David Steele and all of the Alphabet Gang. And it had something like 350,000 subscribers. I checked shortly before this broadcast. I can't find the channel, but CW Channer, he covered that there's this fake YouTube channel that was an Indian cooking channel for the last 4 years, and suddenly they're a truther channel uploading all this truther garbage, and David Wilcocks is citing the same thing in his presentation, Santa surfing. These are grifters, friends. It's garbage information. It's fake garbage information, and David Wilcocks is sharing it as if it's a factual and trusted and verified source. This is the level of he has no ability to critically think or to have any discernment or to evaluate whether a source should be trusted or not. He just runs with anything like Santa surfing. And I'm not sure if it was Parler or Gab. He didn't mention. I know it's an alternative platform, not Twitter. But he was sharing screenshots from Santa surfing saying all kinds of garbage. And just as we shouldn't trust a truther channel that for 4 years was an Indian cooking channel and suddenly starts uploading Simon Parkes videos, we shouldn't trust somebody named Santa Surfing on Parler who's spouting garbage and nonsense. It doesn't, I cited a source. You cited a complete and total garbage source. You don't get credit for that. It doesn't make it true because you cited a source. In his mind, as long as he cites a source, this must be true. Garbage. 2:15, he cites Pete Peterson, claims Barack Obama in 2009 was going to disclose 6 alien races, and he blames Bill Ryan. He says Bill Ryan blurted out the date, so it never happened. Pete Peterson said that they would kill Kerry Cassidy by taking out her brakes so she would crash and die driving in the mountains. Gee, does that sound familiar to anybody? He used this before, but said that the deep state and the men in black cut his brakes and he almost died in his car. Now they're trying to kill Kerry Cassidy too? Boy, and who told him this? Pete Peterson, the fake source that he's been milking for years that's dead. And nobody can tell us. You can't check with Pete Peterson if he said any of this. Because he's dead. Gotta love a guy to keep citing a dead source over and over again. And listen, it's okay to cite a dead source if you have a recording, proof that they said that, a writing, a deposition, their testimony, their book. You could cite a dead source. But to continually cite a dead source telling these alien fairy tales over and over again just shows you the quality of his information. His information is so good, he's got to get it from a dead source that nobody can check in with to see if it's true. Because it's not. None of this is true. Why do I have to even do this? Great. 2:17. He says that the Norway spiral, which is a famous UFO event, actually, was from HAARP. That's a completely and totally factually inaccurate statement. He also goes on to state that Stephen Greer told him, David Wilcocks, that Obama was going to tell people that UFOs are real when he got the Nobel Peace Prize. But the people came up to Obama and said, if you do this the next time we create one of these, the Norway spiral, and by the way, it's a portal and a weapon, we'll do it right in front of Air Force One. So Obama had to back down and not give us the truth about aliens. This is totally ridiculous. First of all, the Norway spiral has been completely and totally debunked and explained. It was a Russian military test. And yeah, the rocket went nutty and created a spiral visible in the sky for hundreds of miles. It wasn't a UFO. It's not a portal. It's not a space weapon, David Wilcocks, you space cadet. What are you, smoking space pot to come up with this? The Norway spiral has been completely and totally debunked and explained. And this is what he does, the David Wilcocks prover maneuver. Mention an actual thing that happened, even if you're wrong about what the source of what happened was, then mention the Norway spiral and then tack on the BS to it. Well, Stephen Greer said that but they threatened Obama with the Norway spiral weapon. It's garbage. And he does this time and time again. Mention something that really happened and then tack on BS to it. All right. Let's see. Greer said Putin was threatened as well. And they parked a UFO over the Kremlin and told him it's a weapon and it's got a big old laser beam and that the UFO was a threat. And that if Putin disclosed anything, they were going to blow him up. Come on. Really? This is ridiculous. Why am I even talking about this? He said this. Can he prove any of this? No! It's just made up horse shit. 1991, he talked about popular science and flying triangles. 220. What he's saying is the flying pyramid everyone is seeing is actually a Dynair ship, which I actually happen to be very familiar with. I mentioned my father being big into aircraft. He was into blimps, dirigibles, Dynair ships, stealth blimps, and all that too. And I've got a lot of information on them. So he shows the Aeron 3, which looks nothing like a UFO and everything like a regular blimp or a Zeppelin. The Aeron 3 looks like, the Aeron 3.3, I think it is, looks like 3 blimps glued together and nothing like a pyramid. And I have no idea what the relevance is yet. But he's going to talk about blimps and the history of blimp projects for probably 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Because his theory, once again, is that the things that Jeremy Corbell are releasing and George Knapp are releasing are just stealth blimps, secret blimps. Then he claims that a 2012 spy blimp looks exactly like the stealth blimp prototype that they made. Claims that Knapp and Corbell's pictures look exactly like the stealth prototype they made. And now it looks similar, but not exactly. So he talks about this company Aeron for quite some time and how all these things probably originated with Aeron, creating these lighter than air ships and planes. And yeah, Ariana was a real company. But here's a big problem. Here's a big problem. David Wilcocks, do you know this? Did you do your homework? Of course he didn't. Of course he didn't. And I know more about Ariane Corporation than he does because of my father's interest in aviation. In fact, in my, I'm just going to call my archives, boxes of stuff, I have a huge amount of information on all blimps. All different companies that were creating blimps and blimp-like projects and dirigibles and lighter-than aircraft and experimental aircraft. And in there is information on Ariane, okay? But here's something that David Wilcocks doesn't know. They produced almost no working prototypes. They might have had one. They have no proof that any of their designs ever flew. There is no video of any of Ariane, the company's prototypes flying. There is no news articles about them flying or test flights because David Wilcocks spends almost 40 minutes talking about a company that created a lot of mock-ups but never showed that they flew. And he's going to tell us that that's the truth about Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp's UFO information. It's all fake. It's just these blimps. Except that company that he keeps citing for 40 minutes never showed a working prototype flying, ever. Okay. Yeah, and he shows a stealth blimp from 1990, and this is connected dots. And I made another note at 3:25. He claims 19,000 people are watching live. I'm sorry, I think that's it's probably more like 15,000 bots and maybe, if he's lucky, a few thousand actual live viewers. And we've talked about this before. I have extensive experience in computer science, managed social media. I'm telling you, and I'll make it as a it's my speculation. I'll say it as a speculative statement. It is my belief, after looking at his metrics and his data, and several other factors, all the data points, that he uses bots to get fake live viewers. Maybe, and it's been speculated before, that he's trying to convince people that he's a big deal so people buy his course. You know, fake it till you make it. All right, stealth blimp, 1990. Let's connect the dots. Yeah. Okay. At 3:30, he says, yeah, and we're really through most of it. Listen, I could say at the end here that he talked about blimps and stealth blimp projects, most of which never flew, were concepts or like pictures in a magazine. Listen, David Wilcocks, pictures in a magazine and a working flying prototype are two different things. You know, he doesn't differentiate between the two. He apparently thinks they're all real. If there's a picture in a magazine, it must have been real. They must have made it. It must have flew. And that's just not the case if you know anything about aviation and aviation history, and he clearly does not. All right. So his whole theory essentially for this is that Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp and really everybody else, they don't know the truth about what's really happening, but he does. And if you just buy his course, and he continually pitches the course through this 3-4 hour marathon of garbage, every once in a while, I can't talk about that yet. The really great information is going to be in my new class. And he gives garbage reasons for why he can't just give us the information for free, much like any con would, right? Oh, well, this information is too explosive and I can't share it publicly. Bull. It's a money-making scam. That's what this is, selling people fake alien garbage. Everything he talked about for 3.5 hours, it's not a surprise to me. Almost everything he talked about was fake or proven hoaxes, stuff that was factually inaccurate or that he twisted around with his mental gymnastics to try to make it fit. The narrative here is Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp are completely wrong, and their pictures are and videos are of man-made blimps. It's all blimps, friends. That's his theory, which is about as ridiculous as swamp gas. I can't believe I'm defending George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. Whatever I think about them, I don't think those things are blimps, right? They may be balloons. In the George Knapp videos, they may actually be just a reflection of an iPhone aperture in the cockpit glass when we're talking about George Knapp's photos. Corbell's video, largely, I believe it's been debunked by Mick West, even though all the true believers don't want to believe it. It is what it is. I'm not going to argue with them. All right, and 3:30, he says, the only way to stop the alien invasion, and again, right before this, he starts talking about the Maharishi effect, how everybody can meditate and there'll be the crime goes down. That is another completely and totally debunked, disproven garbage riff that he always runs with. It's not real. The Maharishi effect is not real. It's propaganda from the transcendental meditation movement. It's been scientifically proven to not work, but he cites it almost every live stream. And then he says, the only way to stop this fake alien invasion is with a global meditation. And he says, 5 minutes of meditation is enough to stop the fake alien invasion. So just in case you were curious, if you ever need to stop a fake alien invasion, all you got to do to stop it is meditate for 5 minutes. Again, this is just childish garbage that can neither be proven or disproven, but here we are. All right, and then he gives his class pitch for one final time at the end at about 3:40, after the meditation, I believe. And he says, unlike everyone else, I don't pitch products constantly, just this blurb at the end. And then he says, go to my new website and we will not bombard you with ads. We're collecting, and I wrote a note, collecting email addresses to find future victims. Then he says, I'm sorry that people don't like it if we charge money, but everybody needs money and we have taxes to pay. He said that. Everybody needs money and we have taxes to pay. Like, yeah, maybe you should have set aside all that money you were collecting, right, to pay your taxes. No, you didn't do that. Now you expect people to pay your taxes for you by buying a new course full of garbage information. Great. Then he does mention that in his class, oh, and by the way, the point of him he said, I'm not doing a pitch like everyone else, okay, constantly. We're just doing this blurb at the end. I didn't count, friends, but he pitched a class probably 10 times in his 3.5 or 4 hour stream, and he pitched people to go buy his book at least 5 times. And one of those times when he was pitching people to go buy his book, he said that his book had information in it that was 35 levels above, classification above that of the United States president. I don't even know what to say about this, or why somebody cannot or would not be prosecuted for consumer fraud for making ridiculous claims like that. David Wilcocks, can you prove that your book has information in it that is 35 levels of classification above the president? Because if not, you may have some problems, bro. You may have some problems. Lastly, I made a note in his class pitch. He starts talking about how he has all this new material, Law of One material that he's going to be teaching. And I just want to take a moment to tell you that if you want to learn the Law of One, it's free. You don't have to give him any money. You can go to the Law of One and ask them for a book, and they'll send you a book. It's free. You don't have to give them any money. And the second point I'd like to make is that David Wilcocks is neither endorsed nor authorized to teach the Law of One material by the people that actually own the material. So he may be committing copyright fraud for all we know, or some, at least, civil action could be taken against him by the copyright holders because he's using their material in courses that he has not been authorized to teach by the people that own the material. This is a lot like me suddenly deciding that I'm going to teach a class on, I don't know, being Jewish, right? And the Jewish people come to me and say, excuse me, we didn't authorize you to be a rabbi. So can you stop taking people's money and teaching them how to be a Jew? And a good and moral person would say, you're right. I apologize. You're the experts, not me. Not David Wilcocks. Listen, he doesn't have the authorization, near as I know, to be teaching Law of One material. Is it illegal for him to do so? I don't know, but I would say it's certainly unethical and immoral. But that is my own judgment, taken from the prism of my own ethics and morality, with the example I just gave. Hey, if I suddenly decided I was going to start teaching a course on how to be a Muslim, right? And the Muslims came to me and said, excuse me, you're not a Muslim. You're not an expert in our religion. Please stop taking money. I, as an ethical and moral person, or at least one who tries to be, would say, okay, and no longer teach that material or take money from people, but not David Wilcock. All right, and I had something else that I can't, we're going to try to wrap it up because this is running really long. But hey, it was a 4-hour stream that I had to sit through, so you don't have to. We've gotten through it, friends. We made our way through. And you'll notice that I am wearing my psych ward shirt today, because you have to be crazy to sit through 4 hours of this guy talking this kind of smack. It is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Now, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us, and I apologize for going so long without interaction with the live chat. I'm going to give some shout outs. We have Brian McLeod is here. Electromata. Bry is here. FGraph72 is here. Solar Marshall is here. Muted Matrix is here. Out of Mind is here. If I miss you in the live chat, let me know, because I'm going to be scrolling by this. Effluent for You is here. Shout out to you guys. Heavy Metal is here from Thailand. Shout out to Thailand. That's awesome. We have a Thailand listener, and I've heard from Heavy Metal before. Good to see you back. Deep Thought is here. Reamsey is here. Terry Joyce is here. G.S. Crippler is here. Let's see, who else do we have? Brian McLeod. I mentioned Brian McLeod. Shout out to Brian McLeod. Let's see. We get, it's always weird. Like All Around Arbiter is here. CW Channer is here. Shout out to CW Channer. And by the way, I got going on the CW Channer project, by the way, and it's going to be good. I found a supply of hair, enough hair to do 2 CW Channer characters, I think. Okay, let's see. Who else do we have here in the live chat that I can shout out? If I haven't shouted you out, I apologize. I'm trying to get... Tech Chef 4 is here. Deep Thought is here. Yeah. Michael Angelo is here. So shout out to all you guys. If I missed anybody, let me know, and I will, of course, give you a shout out and a big thank you. I will take some comments and questions from the live chat. While your eyes are closed meditating, he will pick your pocket further. Yeah, Terry Joyce, I don't know what link you're talking about, but people are free to put the link. Reamsey says, hair plugs are sponsored by Elvis Presley Enterprises and other satanic organizations, which are too numerous to enumerate. Maybe. CW Channer says, the Law of One folks denounce him, in fact. Yes, CW Channer, I don't like to say that, though, because I haven't, if you say so, I trust that you have accurate information. You usually do. I try to send him an email 4 times to ask if either David Wilcock or Corey Good are either endorsed or authorized to teach the Law of One material by their organization. And so far, no one has gotten back to me. If you know a phone number I can call to get a hold of them, that might be helpful to try to, I would like to get some clarity about should those guys be teaching the Law of One material. I believe neither of them have the right or the authorization to. And CW Channer, I'm almost sure, wasn't that channel that you found this channel, and I was listening while I was working on my cabin, and I go, you're kidding me. CW Channer found this channel called Santa Surfer, and they were sharing all kinds of the garbage, the Robert David Steele and the Simon Parks updates about Biden being a clone and, Trump still being the president and all of this garbage. And during David Wilcock's presentation, he kept sharing somebody from Parler, I believe, with the same user ID, Santa Surfer. So look at that quality of garbage information. Solar Marshall, can I get my mods back? I didn't know your mods got taken. Oh, yeah, maybe I did. I can't remember why. I can't remember why it got taken away. I'll put it back. Hold on, I got to get over there and put it back. And shout out to Les Sharian, who says, what's up, Steven? Yeah, what's up, Les? Good to see you. Let me get over to the live chat. Let me get over there because I got to do it in the live chat. It won't work in mine. Your channel was shut off. Okay. All right, Solar Marshall, you are now a moderator. Use your powers wisely. Yeah. So look, I wasn't even going to do this today, and then I can't lie. I started listening, and then I went, "You're kidding me! You're kidding me!" Actually, the biggest takeaway I would say about this stream is how little he lied in it. I mean, we got some whoppers, right? Like the reptilian aliens stole half the M16s during the Vietnam War so they could sell them in space. That's a whopper, right? But mostly he's just trying to repeat other people's already existing UFO garbage, most of which is disproven, like this Israeli space minister and this Anthony Bragalia UFO crash retrieval story. It's all been debunked, and it's garbage, and that's what he runs with. So, you know, a lot of people have mentioned this book to me, and I bought it, but I've never read it. All Around Arbiter, the 48 Laws of Power. You know, I think that any book that has wisdom is worth reading. You know what? One of my favorites is The Art of War. It depends. I have 4 different versions with different translations and essays on it, right? Laney Liberty is here. Shout out to Laney Liberty. He says you'd get sued. Maybe. Bry is here. Shout out to Bry. He says C.W. Channer, attorney at Raw. Yeah, we're gonna do a C.W. Channer character, and it's coming along. I gotta glue a bunch of hair on tonight, and I found a big source of hair. This is funny. Watch. I'm gonna share my. I'm gonna share. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if we can't get it. I'm gonna share the source of hair that I found because it's funny. All right. Let me see if I can get this. Yeah, there we go. So a long time ago, I was doing these stage magic shows, and we had this gag where a gorilla appeared and ran into the audience and scared them. But I'm 6'3", 6'4" with good shoes on or nice boots, right? And the gorilla was always way shorter than me, and it looked stupid and ridiculous. So we changed it to a Bigfoot and made these big leg extensions and arm extensions, and I built this crazy thing. That's actually me in the suit. But I was worried about making a CW Channer character because I would go broke from all the hair it would take to put on that guy's hair and beard. But I found a big box of Sasquatch fur. So we'll have CW Channer Sasquatch. Maybe it'll be the CW Squatch. I don't know. But anyway, I got to glue on a whole lot of hair, and you'll have to bear with me for a second. I'm okay. One second. I'm just getting some communications, which may or may not be. I'm not going to share what somebody just sent me, but it's funny. So, yeah, here. Okay, yeah, it was Santa's studio, Santa's cooking studio, and then David Wilcocks is sharing Santa Surfer. What are the? It's the same source. It's the same garbage source. The same people behind that video channel that CW Channer busted are the same people feeding David Wilcocks garbage sources to cite. This is a very pretty Sasquatch. Perhaps it is one that appears in the window to watch Jason quit as he peacefully slumbers. I don't know. I don't know about that. I've never been up to Canada with it, but I got to tell you, I have it at the cabin. This whole costume is at the cabin, and every once in a while, I feel like dressing up in it at the cabin and walking around in the woods. But I'm afraid that one of the locals will shoot me. And it's funny, Reemsy, it's like you feel like the Hulk in this thing. It's fun. You're like this huge thing, and you got these leg extensions that make you a few feet taller. It's great fun. Yeah, click the link and you see Simon Park's mug on it. End of argument. I just thought it was a funny coincidence that David Wilcocks is citing the same source that CW Channer just busted, or very similar. I'll call it a synchronicity if you don't. Yeah, I did check my messenger. And I think we're good. 1 second though. Let me check that. Let me check it again. Well, that's interesting. And, I just want to mention a lot of people wanted me to talk about this. A lot of people want me to talk about this big phone home, and I guess we're going to do that in the coming week. But I can say briefly that I don't know. I think it was a lot of hype, and I was very disappointed. Not totally disappointed, but there's very little new information. It seemed to be a lot of what I would call, I don't know, patting each other on the back. It was like every guest had to tell the host of the show what a great job he did putting the event together for 5 minutes, and then the host would tell the audience what a great job the guest was doing on whatever they were working on lately. And it seemed to me that it was an 8-hour stream that could have been 6 or maybe even 5 if they cut off all that stuff. I don't know. I'm only 4 hours in. I'll listen to the other 4 hours, I suppose, before we talk about it. I want to be fully informed. Maybe there's, better information in the second half. Or I did find it interesting that somebody got to ask Luis Elizondo, what if he released those videos, why didn't he release the data? And Luis Elizondo said it's not his decision to make to release the data. So I guess that was new. I don't know, but I guess it's a good cause. They're just trying to motivate people to call your senator and push them about UAP disclosure and UFO disclosure. Yeah. So any comments or questions for me? Scrippler says Santa Cooking Studio has been playing the grifter vids for a few weeks, so I'm not sure what CW saw, but all the vids are scrubbed now. Yeah, I tried to find the channel and it was gone. YouTube might have taken it down because that's certainly it's all people who were banned from YouTube being played on that channel. And it appeared to me that they were taking it from BitChute or DLive or Twitch or some other source and uploading it to YouTube. So the people that are in the videos might not even know. It could be just somebody out for profit that thinks they'll get thousands of views. Joshua is here. Shout out to Joshua. Yeah, there should be accountability. Joshua says that he contacted Dominion Voting Systems to narc on David, pushing the voter conspiracy and slander. Yeah, good for you. There should be accountability. You can't just go out there making these ridiculous claims. There's consequences. Yeah, that UFO phone home thing was bizarre. Apparently, Corbell claimed to be getting classified briefings. Watch my fake pyramid video and call Congress. Yeah, I thought a lot of it was bizarre. And I haven't gotten through the whole thing. But here, I'll make a prediction right now. That channel that hosted that event, by the way, had less subscribers than me before the event. I guarantee you. Here's the other criticism that I have. They had 60 guests, and not one of them, so far, I'm 4 hours in, has stopped to say, hey, wait a minute, maybe it's not aliens, right? Every one of them is like, it's aliens, or I'm paraphrasing, of course, but every one of them seems to be the true believer type. And if you're going to have an event with 60 guests, could you at least get 1 or 2 people that are either skeptical or skeptical believers? I consider myself a skeptical believer. Not entirely a skeptic. I consider myself a truth seeker. I discard all of the garbage stories about UFOs. I look for evidence, find out if the story is true before I just blindly believe it. It seemed to me that this UFO phone home event was 60 people that all really are on the same page that it's probably aliens, bro. You could have had, out of 60 guests, at least I think. And 2, if you want to get the word out about this thing, why do you go with people that have no followings? There are people that nobody listens to that were included in this event. And by the way, I'm not bitter or angry. I think I would have said no if they would have asked me to be in the event myself. But I would certainly think that somebody like Alien Scientist, who has huge numbers and was just on Tim Pool's podcast, is worthy of being a guest on your event. Didn't have him in your event, right? Didn't have anybody that's leans to, let's just say, a more skeptical side. I don't want to say skeptics, and good for them. But if they want an echo chamber, congratulations. You got an 8-hour echo chamber. You didn't have both sides of the story or conversation. You didn't have anybody ask these UFO celebrities the hard questions. One guy did, asking Lou Elizondo. So far, that's the only hard question I've ever heard Lou Elizondo ask. Why didn't you release the data along with the videos? And he said it wasn't his decision about whether to release that or not, which makes you wonder, is he being handled? Did they say, here, Lou, you can release this video, but not the data, not the radar tapes? Who knows? Who knows? But there's another point. This UFO phone home, you literally have Lou Elizondo, who was a counterintelligence officer. And suddenly you believe everything he says, and you're all big fans of his. Isn't the narrative of the whole UFO thing supposed to be that the government and government types are covering this all up for 70 years? Now we're suddenly supposed to start believing them because they retired and started being on a television show on the History Channel? And that's another question. Here's a question for Louis Elizondo. How much money have you made off of UFOs in the past 3 years? It's a fair and valid question. Nobody ever asks him. Another problem that I had with this whole event is that it was all people who are UFO profiteers, people who are full-time UFOers like Richard Dolan, Jeremy Corbell, and George Knapp. Well, George Knapp has a job as a local reporter, but he makes tons of money selling UFO stories as well. Do you think that maybe, just maybe, money tends to cloud their judgment? Nobody will acknowledge that out of this group of 60 guests. Nobody mentioned that. Nobody had, maybe some of these people have less than, altruistic intentions for releasing this information. It's all for sale. Disclosure ain't free, right? But I will say, good for them. They're trying to get a lot of people to contact senators. But again, it's the government. You've all been saying that the government is covering this thing up for 70 years. Now we're just supposed to write and call our congressmen and trust that they're going to tell us the truth about aliens. It's ridiculous logic. It doesn't make any sense. They're the ones doing the cover-up. Suddenly we're going to believe them because they're on a History Channel show now and hanging out with Tom DeLonge. They're going to bring us disclosure, right? And what has anybody ever clarified? Because there was this controversy, and there was a statement from the Pentagon that Lou Elizondo never ran the program he claims he ran. Did anybody ask him to clarify that? Of course not. Of course not. Let's just believe he ran that program because it sounds good and we want to know the truth about aliens. I don't know where I'm at with all this stuff. All right. Corbell brought his other billionaire on Truthseekers. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I think that the Corbell and Knapp stuff is all coming from Bigelow. I've done some digging, Solar Marshall. I'll talk to you about it. It's a waste of time. Yeah, Brian McLeod said he doesn't have any clearance. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Jeremy Rise was on. Okay, good. I haven't seen part 2 yet. Yeah. But one thing I will say is that, here's another thing I'll say about this event. How bad of the guest selection is it when the most skeptical person on this event that I'm into so far, I haven't watched the whole thing, was Jimmy Church. Jimmy Church was the most skeptical or reserved or cautious or discerning of all of the guests. I think that says a lot. They don't want to hear the other side. They don't want, they said they asked Mick West to come on and he declined, but then they made fun of Mick West too. Like, oh, Mick West, he just debunks everything. He was right on the pyramid video. He's right. You're all wrong. Okay. I don't want to say you're all wrong. A lot of you are wrong. And I believe Mick West is right, and time is going to prove that that video is nothing. It is an aircraft or a drone. It is not alien. It's not a pyramid. It's not a pyramid UFO or a spaceship. And I believe Mick West will be proven right, and they shouldn't have spent 20 minutes mocking the guy. He's the one that came with science. He's the one that came with reason and discernment and critical thinking and an actual explanation for what's seen in Jeremy Corbell's video. You don't mock the guy for that. You thank him for that. So sorry if it doesn't fit your already drawn conclusion that must be an alien. It's just ridiculous. And Alien Scientist is here. Shout out to Alien Scientist. Good to see you here. You are most welcome. I wanted to tell you that during David Wilcocks' stream, I mentioned you because David Wilcocks said that trees create anti-gravity, and it's a fact. And I wondered, alien scientist, you've been studying physics and trying to come up with some kind of anti-gravity. This is an intense interest of yours for a decade. As long as I've known about you, you've been into this stuff. Maybe you should have been looking at the trees, bro, because David Wilcocks says that trees produce anti-gravity. And also nature produces anti-gravity. After all, why does a river start at the top of a mountain and go down? That's anti-gravity, alien scientist. Okay, Solar Marshall says they kicked Church and Dolan off at the same time. They crapped on Mick West. Mick West is right. He showed the planets in the background and showed the two planets were not ships. Yeah, I'm going to try to get Mick West on our show here. Yeah, alien scientists. Trees create their own anti-gravity, and it's scientifically proven fact. He said that. And I just got to say, I got a cabin in the woods, and I've never seen a tree floating around in the middle of the night or anything, so I don't know where he's getting that. The context is here. You are most welcome. Listen, you got to come on and talk about this UFO stuff because I can't do it by myself. And I know you're watching this stuff too, Daniel. Daniel says, I made a flying saucer out of agave roots thanks to David Wilcocks' groundbreaking anti-grav research. Yeah, it's really ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Steph is here. Shout out to Steph. Steph, I don't want to keep leaning on you, but we'd like to do another Tuesday. So let me know if this Tuesday night at 9 p.m. would be good for you. And then we'll give you some time off and get some other tarot card readers. But I kind of am, prefer you so far. And yeah, Steph has a channel, Willow Unity. She came and was kind enough to do tarot card readings. We're doing them on a Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I'm hoping to have somebody come and read tarot cards. Steph has done it twice so far. You could go to her channel, subscribe, and get a private reading from her. I was pretty impressed with the one that I got. So any comments, questions for me, please put them in the live chat. Otherwise, well, we are approaching 2 hours here, and I'm not David Wilcock. Oh, and one other point. I just want to make one other point about David Wilcock. Listen, I didn't study psychology in college, but I know people who are actual not psychiatrists. I know a psychologist. And, I talked to him about some of this narcissistic personality disorder and things like that. And I don't understand who would talk for 4 hours every time that he does something, right? Just because doesn't it appear to anybody else that that's like a grandiose sense of self-importance? I'm so important that people want to hear me talk for 4 hours. Nobody wants to hear you talk for 4 hours, David Wilcock. Not even your fans. There were people in the live chat going, dude, learn to summarize. People said that in the live chat. Dude, learn to summarize. He talked for 50 minutes about all of these blimps that he had pictures of and prototypes that were never built, and he's claiming that's what people are seeing, but the company he referenced never built any working flying prototypes. I'm very familiar with it. He talked for 45 minutes about that company, never mentioning that they never built a working prototype, or there's no existing photos or videos or flight data of test flights, because what they did is continually make models and mock-ups and try to get funding from the government. The government funding never came, so they never built any of these things. And he shows us 12 of them that don't matter because they were never real, David Wilcock, except in David Wilcock's land of make-believe. And that's where we're at with his latest stream. Alter Bridge is here and says, I've heard about the anti-gravity in terms of the way water is transported to the top of the tree. It's more than capillary action, apparently. I think it's capillary action, but we'll agree to disagree, Alter Bridge. You are still most welcome here, and your opinion and participation is both valued, respected, and needed. Thank you for chiming in. I don't know. I never heard of the guy. That's another thing, Solar Marshall. There was a lot of people on that stream that I've never heard of. Never. And I'm into this stuff, and I read and watch videos on most of it that comes across, but maybe I'm not paying too close of attention lately. And like I said too, the big thing that was annoying after a while is this constant patting each other on the back. It was like an echo chamber of guys going, "You're doing great work. You're doing such great work for disclosure. Thank you for all you do." And then they'd thank the guest for 5 minutes. And then the guest would thank the host would thank the guest for 5 minutes and talk about what great work they were. It was like this love fest. Let's all pat each other on the back for 5 minutes before we talk about anything. And it happened every time another guest came on. They were, "Thank you so much for all you do." Shut up. Talk about the subject. Move on. It's too long, you know? You need to go over this video of Wilcocks and go over what he said. Or you can just watch mine and save yourself 3 hours, bro. It's brutal. It was one of the worst. It was one of the worst Wilcock live streams I've seen, because mostly he's regurgitating the Anthony Bergalia crash retrieval story that's pretty much proven to be way blown out of proportion and twisted and manipulated into something it's not. He's citing this Carol Rosin and Stephen Greer and the fake alien invasion. Then he makes up a lot of stuff because he always does that. And then he talks about blimps and how Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp's, they're not aliens. They're man-made blimps. Because George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell don't have the truth about aliens. I, David Wilcock, am the only guy that has the truth about aliens. Buy my new course, and you'll hear the truth about aliens. But Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, they don't have the truth. They're showing you blimps. I'm showing you aliens. It's ridiculous. And that's a rule of these grifters. You gotta, if somebody's getting a lot of attention, you gotta swat them down a little bit. Even though he tried to act nice to them, like, "Oh, we're on the same team," and their videos, their movies were distributed by the same company that distributed my movie, so we're on the same team, and I hope they watch this video. And they might not like some of my sources, but we're on the same team. And then he says they're completely wrong about everything they're saying. So he complimented them, and that's called the push-pull. And that's a psychological technique. You compliment somebody, and then you insult them. Right? It'd be like for me to say to a woman something like, "Yeah, those are nice earrings. My grandmother's like 85 and she wears earrings just like that, and she kind of smells funny." Like, it's a push-pull maneuver. Compliment and then insult. He said that Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp don't know what they're talking about, and their spaceships aren't spaceships. They're blimps. And look, what is the probability that everything that Corbell and Knapp, regardless of what I think about them, are sharing is blimps? Okay? And then, oh, by the way, this is my other favorite of the stream, Big Lie. Sawyer Marshall, he talks about the TR-3B, and he says that Edgar Fouché said the TR-3B was a blimp and had helium in it. And he makes all these factually inaccurate statements about Edgar Fouché and the TR-3B. And then he says that the pyramid UFO that Jeremy Corbell is showing is just 4 TR-3B blimps glued together. The government glued 4 TR-3Bs together to make a fake pyramid flying saucer. It's garbage. Are you talking about me looking great because I gained weight? Yeah, I gained about 20 pounds through this pandemic. And I keep saying I'm going to do this, Terry Joyce, but I haven't done it yet. I'm going back to this fitness and diet program called 75 Hard, where you don't drink any alcohol, you have a sensible diet for 75 days, and you exercise 45 times a day, twice, once inside, once outside. I did that before and dropped like 30 pounds when I got really... I put on like 20 pounds, and it's all in my gut. I'm starting to get like the dad bod. It's not good. It might look good in my face, right? But it doesn't look good other places. Lucky for me that I only show myself from here down. Nobody gets to see my pandemic gut. And by the way, I just want to mention, this is one of the bit of show business I want to get out of the way. I've got people emailing me, what do I think about vaccines, about the current health crisis and the vaccine? Am I going to take it? Do I think it's safe? And all of these things. I'm not a medical professional. And I believe that the choice of whether to take or not take this, offering is a personal choice. And I've made my own personal choice. Some of you know what that is, but I don't want to influence you. I think you should do your own research, consult your doctor, your healthcare professional. I'm not the guy to ask about this. I'm really not the guy to ask about that. Did I make my own choice? Yeah. Everybody's going to have to make a choice about what to do about that. I made my choice, and going forward, I would prefer to just keep my choice to myself and not talk. We don't talk about the health crisis, so I don't want to, and I don't want to mislead anybody. For all I know, the choice I made is completely and totally wrong, and I'm going to suffer for making the wrong choice. I don't want to influence anybody. So make your own choice, do your own research, consult your doctor, your healthcare professional. That's the responsible thing for a show host to say. And by the way, if you're listening to a show host who's telling you what to do about medical matters, that's not a good show host unless they're a verified medical doctor and qualified to give medical advice. That's just one cautious. Solar Marshall, you don't look heavy. If Steve's heavy, I'm a fat pig. Listen, I would stand up and show my gut, except I took a before picture getting ready for this, fitness plan. You're supposed to take a picture every day or before you start so that you know like how big you were and what you look like when you're done the fitness plan, because it is amazing transformation. I only made it 40 days in the last time I did it, but I was 40 days in and I lost like 35 pounds and I was getting cut and I was looking good. So I just said, I'm done. I'm not going to go the other 30 days, but this time I'm doing it. Alterbridge, I'm not saying DW is right. I'm saying something about water transport within trees seems to defy gravity. DW is just twisting it. Yeah, and that's what he does. He throws out one nugget of truth, Alterbridge, and then he packs on his own lies and his own narrative to it. So somehow that's a convincer. I told you a factual statement, right? It's something that has some little nugget of truth in it before we tack on 10 lies to it. And C.W. Channer has talked about this. He calls it something else. I call it the David Wilcocks super duper prover maneuver, right? You throw out a little nugget of truth and then you tack on 10 or 15 lies on top of that little nugget of truth. And in his mind, that's a super duper prover maneuver. He's proven what he's saying is real because he gave you the little tiny nugget of truth that he piled 10 stories of BS on. It just doesn't work. Terry Joyce says, oh no, don't take it personal. You look great. Yeah, I look fine, except I don't think I even have 20 pounds to lose, Terry Joyce, but I got a gut, and it's all in my gut. It's probably 10. At the very least, I got to lose 10. I haven't weighed myself. I'm afraid to. It's just this pandemic. And my wife being home is detrimental to my waistline. For those who don't know, my wife has been working at home because of the current health crisis. Normally, she works in an office, and I cook dinner every day. And I don't cook so good, so I don't gain much weight when I cook. My poor family, I have to cook almost every day. And then, but now that my wife is home, she's cooking most of the time, and she cooks much better than me, so I'm getting fat from that too. And it's just the health crisis. I've been sitting around my house. I don't go anywhere. I don't go outside, right? I'm sitting around my house in front of the screen all day, and I'm eating a lot of comfort food, right? Macaroni and cheese, and I don't know. My wife got cheesecake, and then the kids have this. If you have kids, there's all this garbage food that you could eat, and sometimes I do. I sit and eat the garbage. My son's like, "Can I have some chips?" I'm like, "If there's enough for both of us, you can." Yeah, Solar Marshall says Alterbridge is a great band. Mark Tremonti, great guitar player. Yeah, I like Alterbridge actually. It's on my list of good albums. I think they make good albums, and by album I mean an album from the beginning to the end, not an album full of garbage with one good song on it. Okay, friends. So we're rapidly approaching 2 hours here, and I'm not David Wilcock. I'm not going to make you listen to me for that long. And the point I was making about his long streams is really, come on, man. Nobody wants to listen to anybody talk for 4 hours. Look, I could pick just a few people on planet Earth that I could sit through 4-hour lecture from. And David Wilcocks is not one of them. But I just did because now you guys don't have to. Yeah. I also just want to mention that we have a couple of characters coming up. And tomorrow, I believe it's tomorrow, I'm bringing you a crazy story from the dark side tomorrow night at 9 p.m. We're going to talk to a person who claims to have witnessed ritual blood sacrifices in Mexico. And he's going to come on our show and tell the whole crazy story. And I got to tell you, bring some popcorn because this story is crazy. And it involves dark magicians and blood sacrifices and I believe human sacrifices. And it's a crazy story. You're going to want to be here tomorrow night and hear this. Now, I'm going to have to bail. Alien Scientist asks, do you want to jump on my stream next with me and Dan? No, please no. No, I can't. I got to get up early tomorrow, and I barely slept last night. And you guys tend to run long. I think the last one I was there for 5 hours, right? Or we were there for 5 hours. That was on my show. Really? Yeah, it was like between the show and the show was only a few hours, but then the after show. I can't do it today. I could do it tomorrow, maybe after my show here. But always, come on, party all night. Now, I got to get to bed. I really do. I was at the cabin and I couldn't sleep. And I noticed like the light was coming up and I was still awake. So, and then I had to hurry up and wake up and go home. Wake up at like noon to go home. Yeah, see that? You guys were up till 7 a.m. I can't do that. I have my kids tomorrow and they're going to be awake and alert or they'll beat me. And you know what it's like to have to deal and realize that I am at the mercy of a 4 and 8-year-old and they could make my day miserable if I'm not active and alert and in front of whatever they're doing. Like, what are you doing? No, get out of the fridge. Don't make a mess. Don't spill that milk on the floor. What are you doing with food in here in the living room? Why is there nacho cheese sauce on the walls? Why is there crayons smashed up all in the bathroom? I got to be on my game with these kids. So, yeah. Brian McLeod says, get meth, you'll be fine. Yeah. Ebenema. Shout out to Ebenema. Thanks for the show. You are most welcome. It's my pleasure. Changed the name on a CW stream once, talking about Alder Bridge and never showed it back. Yeah. Well, friends, I'm going to bounce out of here, and I encourage you guys, go over to Alien Scientist channel, where they'll probably be streaming for 4 or 5 hours. And Alien Scientist says, anyone else want to join us? I posted the StreamYard link. There you go. You too can join in the discussion. Everybody gets a spot at the table, me included. Imagine that. So, Renee Miss Jonaside is here. Says night, guys. Yeah, we're going to bounce. I am going to bounce out of here. Listen, friends, I'm always happy when there's an audience. And tonight, I'm so happy that you could be here and be a part of mine. Tomorrow night, we have a crazy story from the dark side about ritual blood sacrifice and maybe human sacrifices being witnessed by our guest tomorrow night. I'm going to put out a graphic tomorrow. You're going to want to see this. So please do tune in tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, I want to thank you for being here and for being in the audience. Until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.